Greetings and relevance, Prince Handsome here for another edition of Keeping It Handsome. Tonight we're supposed to have on Rip Ruiz, a member of the Forgotten Kingdom. I'm waiting for him to come on, but he hasn't yet, so we'll see what's going on here. Rip, are you there?
There's no rip. There is absolutely no rip. Not even a tear. Not even a small little tear. It is I, El Nino, the king of the dark web and the deep web. I just so happen, and Prince, I respect your platform, but I hacked into it. You need to look into your security. It was kind of easy, but that's okay. We'll talk about that later. But who were you expecting again?
Your opponent for Toontown Turmoil, actually, Rip Ruiz.
Oh, that's right, Mr. Rip Ruiz. Is he a no-show? Is
Looks
he a
like
no-show?
looks like it.
I hope he's not a no-show on April 16th at the Toontown Turmoil. You see, well, did you have questions? Go ahead, feed me questions, because I'm the only guest that counts. Honestly, I am the only guest that's going to really count. So you go ahead and give me all the questions. Throw me all the hard balls, no softballs. Send
Okay.
it to me. Batters up. Yeah, batters up.
Well, speaking of that, tell us a little bit of your accolades. I feel like a lot of people don't give El Nino the credit where it's due. So give us some of your accolades, your awards, your championships you've won in the past to kind of like give the fans an idea of what to expect when you go in that ring and face Rip Ruiz.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Yeah, a lot of people don't give me the accolades that I deserve. I've been around for about four. This is going to be my fifth year. Okay. I've had many tag team championships with the likes of Alejandro Bravo, the angriest man in professional wrestling. Also with Dante the Dragon Steele. Um, I was also a champion over in Palatka. I believe Rip Ruiz is their current heavyweight champion. I was one of their champions, but we won't get into that because it's not important. Oh, and then also I was also a regional champion, the AIWF Junior Southern Champion. Boy, that's a mouthful. That's a whole mouthful. A lot of letters too. I was champion of not only one promotion, but of over 200 because the AIWF umbrellas that. I was champion for a whole year. And boy, did it feel good. It felt very good. And here we are. Toontown Turmoil. And it's going to be one-on-one with Rip Ruiz.
Well,
That's how you
before we
pronounce
get
it.
to that, you had two other things. Weren't you a promo champion as well?
That's right. I
And
did.
you got tag team of the year
I
for
did that
DCW.
for DCCW. That's correct. I did win. A lot of people can't believe how that happened, but the record speaks for itself. The work speaks for itself. Me and of course with Dylan Wheeler and of course Nick Bruder with Dylan Wheeler Incorporated DWI. We've been together for many years. We're a well-oiled machine, and one day, we will be champions everywhere we go. But especially right now, our main target is DCCW over in Baker County Fairgrounds, over that Hickville place. Huh? They have no respect. No respect. No, he's
Well,
talking about my hair too. Don't talk about the
um,
hair.
so you're speaking of the DWI, you'll be taking on one half of the Forgotten Kingdom, Rip Ruiz. He's also a member of a group. I think it's a fairly new group. You know, they haven't been as long as together like you have with the DWI. Uh,
Right.
so, you know, when it comes to being a part of a group, tell us like, is it easy trying to get that camaraderie together? Is it hard, or how do you get to become a well-oiled machine?
Well, it takes a while. There's a lot of personalities. Sometimes they clash, but you always got to focus on what the goal is. I've always said strength and numbers. We debuted, if you remember correctly, with a group called the Legion of Pain. We've had our successes, we had our failures, but at some point, and we were together for many years, it brought us a lot of experience. And when somebody has your back, You know, it's different debuting and walking around as a singles competitor, even a tag team. But when you got a whole group, a whole faction, if you will, you know, there's a lot of there's comfort there. You know, you could express yourself. You could do things that you wouldn't do by yourself. This is the jungle. Professional wrestling, any fighting game, is the jungle, and that's why we do this. We do this for the fast money. We do it for the quick life. It's a circus, and I love it. And I'm a circus animal, and I love it. Wouldn't want to change it. But back to your question, yeah. Started with the Legion of Pain and got a lot of experience there. After that, we moved on. And I was single. Actually, I was single for a while until Dylan Wheeler approached me. I was in a drought. I got to give it to Dylan. He came up to me. Well, he rolled up to me, stepped on my toe, but that's a different story. And he was new. He was new in the game. He started recruiting. I know he recruited first. It was Nick Brutal and Jay Shooter. They were the Smoking Aces. They were a tag team for a while. Then after that, we got Max Dawson for a little bit, and so on and so forth. And we became a power. You know, it takes a little bit. I got to hand it to Dylan. He's like a coach. You know what I mean? He's not going to tell us how to wrestle. You know, it's not his place, but it's a chess game. He needs to know where the pieces go. He knows our strengths. He knows our weaknesses, and he knows how this all works. So it takes time. But when it gets there, it's very, very nice. A lot of gold, a lot of championships.
So, speaking of that experience, speaking of that, confidence, let's just say confidence, you going into this match with Rip Ruiz, I feel like the favor must be in your hands. You have the repetition, you have the time behind you, you have the accolades, you have the support. What are your thoughts going into this match, taking on Rip Ruiz, who is currently, yes, the LCCW heavyweight champion. You spent some time there, but what are your thoughts and how are you going to go about taking on this, upcoming opponent, being that you have all these positives behind you?
Well, the way I'm going to approach is the way I approach any match. I look for their weakness. I look for holds. I look for a loophole, and then I exploit it. And that's how you do it. You see, Rip Ruiz, I think he's still kind of new. You could kind of tell with people that either they haven't had a lot of time or a lot of experience, but he's getting there. Okay, he's getting there. I would have loved to have him on the show right now, and I'll tell him exactly what I think. But being the case, it is what it is. The way I'm going to approach it, again, I'm going to attack his weaknesses. He's still new at the game. He hasn't, as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't wrestled someone like me. That little title he has right now, that heavyweight title, who had it beforehand? Who had success with that? That was our very own Nick Brutal. And boy, did he defend it. He won it fair and square, and he was defending it left and right. But because of politics, things kind of fell apart. But, we don't cry over spilt milk. We move on and we take over other territories because that's the game. That's the game. So Rip Ruiz, as soon as they told me who I was going to face, I immediately did my homework. Immediately. I hope you're doing the same thing. And I also added in the last promotional video I sent to Toontown Turmoil, I told Rip, look, you have your little group, TFK, the Forbidden Kingdom or the Forgotten Kingdom. It will be forgotten. After April 16th. It will be forgotten. But I told you.
So do you think that, you'll get a little retribution, with the whole situation of leaving LCCW, facing on one of LCCW's originals?
Oh my God, yes. Yes. In my mind, it's not going to be Rip Ruiz. In my mind, it's going to be Pepper across that ring. In my mind, it's going to be Ricky across that ring. Okay? Yeah, they know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. But I'm a professional. Okay, I'm a professional, and I'm not gonna air out dirty laundry. It's not necessary. We're past that. But in my mind, that's what's going on in my mind, Rip. Okay, but we're gonna be two competitors because this is the fight game. Winner takes the higher prize. That's it. That's what this is. It's nothing personal. This is the first time we ever crossed paths. The first time. So my proposition to Rip, and maybe later on, if you try to get an interview with him, I'll be very curious to see what he says or if he agrees, is that we could have one-on-one, no shenanigans. He has his boys in the back, okay? I'll have my boys in the back, and we have a nice clean competition because I've seen the way he moves. As far as I'm concerned, honestly, and I'm not trying to play this divide and conquer game. Honestly, I think Rip doesn't really need the Forbidden Kingdom. Honestly, I think that the Forbidden Kingdom is actually holding him back.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, I think they're riding his coattail. I think they say that he's bubbling because I remember right before he left, I think you had a match with him. That was an excellent match. I was behind the curtain looking. It was an excellent match. Now and I was thinking to myself, okay, this guy has a lot of potential. He has a lot of skill. He could go toe to toe with you. He's still rookie, but he's learning real quick. I mean, he's not a champion for nothing.
Mm.
So, as far as I'm concerned, honestly, I don't. This whole TFK thing, papa, it doesn't suit you. Do you have subtitles? Because I think he speaks Spanish. Rip Ruiz, deja esa gente. I'll translate myself. Leave these people. Deja esa gente. No te sirven. Te están atascando. They're holding your back. You see how I do it? You see how multidimensional I do? I speak English and Spanish, and I translate myself because that's how we do it over here. That's how we do it at DWI. That's how El Nino does it. And that's why on April 16th, Toontown Turmoil, downtown Jacksonville, I'm going to beat you. That's why.
And so this is a question I've asked a lot of people I've brought on as far as Toontown Turmoil. How do you feel? Because you're no stranger to this. You actually wrestled at a con and wrestled in the front of a Jacksonville audience. But what does this mean to you, being able to have this opportunity to represent not only not professional indie wrestling, but also Jacksonville-based wrestling because you're a Jacksonville-based wrestler? How do you feel being able to, represent that? Because, like I've told people before, like I feel like we're a forgotten group of people. People don't really know that there are a lot of us that are here in Jacksonville that actually wrestle. So, like, what does this mean to you as far as this opportunity?
No, it means a ton. I saw with last year that you mentioned River City Wrestling wrestling in front of legends. I met my hero Bret Hart. What was it? The New Age Outlaws, DX, Billy Gunn, and Road Dogg. They saw me wrestling. When I was wrestling Jake Logan, we had a great match.
And they gave you praise. They actually gave you praise. I was there in front of them, and they actually gave you a lot of praise.
They gave me praise. They were actually yelling my name, and I was freaking out. These are people that I looked up to. I still look up to, and they're a lot of the reason why I got into professional wrestling. And wrestling a con is a it's a showcase. There's going to be people that have never heard of you before. There's going to be people that are going because of you, and then on top of that, you have a lot of the legends. The people have been there, done that, been around the world, and they have a chance to see you wrestle. And I think I was, correct me if I'm wrong, but out of everybody in that con, it's a big con. I was the only local Jacksonville wrestler. Everybody came from Orlando, Miami, maybe Georgia. I think one came from New York, New Jersey. And I didn't get no respect from the fans. But that's a separate thing. We're very self-destructive here in Jacksonville, Florida. People root for the Jaguars, so what do you expect? What do you expect? The IQ. But now we have another con, with Toontown Turmoil, and I think it's going to be very good for Jacksonville. It's about time we recognize ourselves. I think for the most part, I think there's going to be more people that are local, that are from Jacksonville, that are going to have the opportunity to actually showcase their skill, because there's actually a lot of local wrestlers here. I mean, we could go down the list, but honestly, with just the amount of people that live here, you could fill up a whole card and you'll be fine. You could have a whole show with the people just here, and we don't get enough credit. We don't.
And I feel like, and now that we've actually, laid out everything, I feel like the cards look like they're very much so in your favor, because your experience in wrestling cons, your experience as far as like being in front of that crowd, you have a well-oiled machine. Y'all have been together for quite some time versus JFK. They're still new. They're still getting used to each other. There's different ages and different personalities within that group. You and Nick Brutal and Dylan Wheeler, y'all are, one, y'all all correspond with another. Y'all complement each other very well. So like, it looks like the card is very much in your favor, and everything should be going good going into this match against Rip Ruiz. Like I said, you have the opportunity to scout him. You've watched him, countless times over in the promotion that he's currently heavyweight champion at. So everything looks like it's in your favor. So you should be going there feeling very confident.
That's right. No, you said it perfectly. I'm bubbling. This is gonna be my 5th year in October. I've had a lot of experience. I've wrestled a lot of legends in front of big crowds. So I'm bubbling right now. At this point in my career, I'm not that young, but I'm not that old. I'm just right. I would say I'm in the prime of I'm just getting in, and it's a good feeling. I'm not walking in there with nerves. I'm excited. Rip. As far as I know, this is probably Rip's first con. Okay, first con. And it's local. It's in Jacksonville. It's not as big, I don't think. And I don't think it's like the whole. I don't think the whole con is just a wrestling thing. I think we just have a section. So it's not like the one at the convention center with River City Wrestling Con was the whole thing. But nevertheless, I mean, it doesn't take away from it. So this is just a little taste, okay? A little taste. And I think Rip, he's not local. He lives like somewhere in Orlando, right? Somewhere in the south of Florida. So to me, there's a lot of pressure. No, there's no pressure for me. This is not new to me. I've been there, done that. I've probably had more matches than most people that have had a 10-year career than in my position.
Yes.
I've had
your position, you basically were put in it, and once the minute your feet touch the ground and mat, you been going ever since. So I feel like in a way you start off as a disadvantage, but at the same time, you've kind of grown and you've learned stuff fast, and you have picked it up and it's worked for you. A lot of people can't just get thrown into this world and really like be beneficial or really catch their niche, but you automatically had it off rip because you have that background with technology where you can get the resources to scout your opponents. You have a theater background, so you know how to really like manipulate that crowd and get it to work in the way that you want it to work. So you really got put in a unique situation once you got into this world of wrestling, and it's really worked for you, and you really made it your own, and you really blossomed into a certain force, whether people like it or not. You've actually blossomed into this personality that people are very interested in, whether they want to be interested or not. They still look at your content. They still are mention your name. You even got my mom mentioning your names. She
once you hit the moms, you're in. That's my niche crowd, the moms. Once you get the moms, that's it. There's no turning back. No, but you're right, and I appreciate it. It takes time. Not a lot of people. You've seen it. We've seen a lot of people come and go. They think they're a fan and they think they can do this, right? Mm-hmm. Then once they get into that ring and they start bumping and they start hitting them ropes and they realize, wow, this actually looks harder than it is. And a lot of people don't last. The fact that you and I, you've been around a little longer than I, but you and I are pretty much in parallel in the sense of we're bubbling, we're coming into our own. We're one of the last two in our class, honestly. If I could toot our own horn, that have actually excelled, not just made it, but excelled, right, and kind of made a name for ourselves in a way. So it is what it is. But a lot of people don't have respect for that. I think they just walk in.
You talk about respect.
Wow.
You talk about respect.
Wow.
How's your
What do you-
face feel? How's your face look?
You see that? You see, Prince. Why don't you go ahead, because I know nobody knows him. Why don't you go ahead and introduce, give him a proper introduction, because he's gonna need it.
Well, we have here Mr. Warren. He has his own podcast, Buzzing with Marlo, and he also had a little incident at last DCW show.
Yeah, we did.
Tell us, what's up, Warren. Tell us what happened there at DCCW. Like, what was going on?
Well, I
Tell him.
clearly have told this fool numerous times. Let's finish this out. I've tried to book this thing numerous times. He's canceled it. We've actually had some traveling, and he's canceled some bookings as well.
It's not
But
true.
the funny thing is, I'm on an anniversary, and I already had something scheduled, and then I come back and I see somebody's put El Nino, all that knockoff Walmart logo crap on my podcast. And then I'm having my publisher message me, hey, that is not you at all on this episode. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So when I
gave you
had showed that
I gave you
video,
the best ratings you ever had on your little podcast, and you should be
actually it was
thanking
one
me.
of the worst ones, but okay. And then, like I've said numerous times, you sat here and literally would just run off. So I'm like, hey, I'm in Baker County. And plus I wanted to see Prince Handsome get his opportunity to go against, the champion and get his spotlight. But
Lies. You're a
I
liar.
literally see you whining, bickering, doing the stuff that you have done since I've known you. I mean, you come
You don't
on
know me.
Facebook
You don't know
on
me.
I don't know you. Okay. So I'm doing a podcast to promote a concert. You come on bad mouthing. If I'm a nobody, what even the knowledge you'd even speak to me?
That's not true. Okay.
Speaking of that, Warren, what has inspired you to decide to walk through those ropes and get back in that ring?
I've missed it. I've like numerous times it's a drug. It really is a drug. When I got in the podcast and I kind of stayed far away from wrestling for a little bit just because I had a neck injury and concussion protocols and stuff like that. So we could all value for that one. But it's an adrenaline,
right?
you can't have it.
It's a drug, all right, Warren, and I'm gonna help you overdose on it. Okay? So you go bye-bye.
You,
All right? So
you
now
say
let's
you
start
gonna
with
help
you.
me. Who was the main one on top beating the living daylights out of you before a freaking security guard came out?
We have footage, and that's wrong. Okay, I actually hit you very nice, and if they
You
didn't
hit
pull
me
you
the
up,
first
I
time.
would've
That's
knocked
what
you
caused this whole thing.
out. And secondly,
That's
first
what
of all-
caused the whole thing. You hit me first. That's
First of
all
all-
it did.
First of all, I'm gonna have Dylan and have DCCW ban you. You're trespassing. I told you not to come, and you put your hands on me first, and there's evidence. There's proof that you put your hands on me first.
Speaking of that, Warren, that's very brave of you, knowing that he's aligned with 2, 3, probably God knows how many other gentlemen. Like, how do you feel that, whenever you're in the presence of El Nino, that there's other guys, not too far behind them? Like, how are you going to be able to do that?
Brutal. He had Dawson. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know. I mean, that's ever since I've met Nino. Nino has women in masks. He's got. I don't know. I mean,
you don't even know my business. You don't even have to know who's my members.
The biggest thing is you don't know how to fight for yourself. That's the problem.
Rip.
You don't know how to stand up for your own self. You blame me for that match with Hunter Trace. You almost got beat by the rookie, not me.
No, you cost me and you distracted me. Okay, and that's the last time you're not allowed back on DCCW. You're not allowed back. Okay.
Oh, really?
El Nino. So when are we going to get to see you two gentlemen face off? I feel like it's getting to a point where
I'm waiting on this one.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell
you. You hesitated after I started working out and stuff again because you thought, oh, I was that retired, guy that literally is barely able to walk and stuff like that. No.
Let me tell you
definitely
something
not.
right now. Let me tell you something right now on Prince Handsome show. Okay. And we're
Why you keep stuttering?
All up. No, that's.
Why you keep hesitating?
I'm not. Let me get to the point. Okay.
Floor's yours. Come on.
This is what happened. Okay. Warren saw me This is how it all started. Warren saw me. He saw me bubbling, okay? And he missed it. He got a little itch, just like all the so-called retired wrestlers. They can't stay away from it. They can't. So they try to find somebody. They try to find something to attach themselves. And that's exactly what's been happening, okay? And then you just started
You
harassing
came
me
on
online.
100th episode.
No. That was retaliation. That was because
Retaliation. Okay.
because months and weeks harassing me online. Okay. And
Really? I have all my guests that were on that 100th episode saying that you were harassing them. That's what even got me to even speak to you.
First of all, your guests are morons. Okay, they're idiots and they don't know what they're doing. Okay, they watch your show. So what do you expect? What do you expect?
I'm number 75 in the top 100s on like 6 different platforms. Next.
All right, whatever that means. Anyways, so you're trying to come back. I try to get promoters to do this, and nobody wants it. Nobody wants it because they're like, who? American Prodigy? Who's that? Oh, he's been gone forever. We don't care. And I'm like,
and yet after that 100th episode, I've had people blown up my inbox.
What people?
About promotions.
What, bots? Like, what do you mean?
You forget, I was pretty known in areas, Bubba.
Prince,
well, I think that,
if you literally wanted to set a match up easily, we could find somewhere in Georgia. You could find somewhere, out in Northeast Jacksonville, wherever you want to go. I told you numerous times.
Look,
let's go.
I want it as bad as you do, especially now that you're assaulting me. Now that you're assaulting me in my matches.
I assaulted you. Okay.
Nobody wants it. I am a professional. I am not a street fighter. I will get paid to fight.
Knowing from your popularity at DCCW,
what you did was
I'm very sure I'm not banned from that place.
Dylan's working on the paperwork. Okay.
Well,
really?
We'll actually get to see that at DCCW. I mean, I think that, if anybody's watching, if they want to petition to have El Nino taking on Warren,
I'm pretty sure the fans want it because they were popping pretty hard for it.
Yeah, see, we don't need to be wasting anybody's time. Right now, what DWI is focused on is in the tag team division.
You're stuttering again.
We're going for the titles, okay?
Why are you hesitating?
I'm not hesitating. We have business.
Yeah, you keep attacking Steve, and I kind of figured out what your strategy was with that. You like to just pop in and just do what you want, and you're realizing this is one person that's at your face that comes at you and literally is not hesitated to back away. Look, people do not like you.
Well,
I've been told this numerous times.
Well, speaking of tag teams, Warren, if you had to pick a partner to take on DWI, who would it be? Because
I could take a kid to tag team with me that night. I'm not worried about him. I'm just ready to just shut him up.
You're not even a tag team. You're barely a singles. You're barely even a podcast.
I'm barely even a singles. Okay.
Like, what you mean? You can get in my world?
You won a Kings and Queens title and a couple of titles, and now all of a sudden you are a legend. Is that what you're trying to say?
I was a regional champion. I was the AIWF champion. I was the champion of this whole Southern belt. I was wearing that belt every notch. Every notch was right there.
Okay.
Right beneath the crevice, right there, just sunk in. I had the whole belt right in there. Okay? You respect that.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Warren, before
I don't have to take this. I'm out of here. Warren, stay out of my life. Stay out of my life.
All right, Warren. Well, before we end this episode, what are some last words you have for El Nino, or anything you have left on your chest that you'd like to say?
Every time I said it, man, I hear him loud and clear. I'm tired of this playing games, and clearly, as we saw at the last event, breaking down the walls, I was ready to break down his face. Handsome, congrats on everything you got. I know y'all got that Toontown turmoil. I'm very much excited to pull that for y'all because it's about time Jacksonville's getting some publicity when it regards to wrestling. And needless to say, I'm ready when he's ready.
All right. Well, thank you for popping in, Warren. And ladies and gentlemen, that was another episode of Keeping It Handsome. I'm Prince Handsome. This was Warren. Thanks for watching.
Have a good one.